Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this template that we have here, which is a sample of a double step shaker door, and we're going to modify it to make it a single step shaker door. So the panel itself, which is hogged out with a 1.25" diameter bit, that goes down to a depth of 3/8 of an inch, but it needs to be on a 2¼ inch style, and if we measure here, we can see that that distance is actually 2½ inches. So that is that's where the panel boundary should be, not another ½ inch in like here. So what the layer name needs to be shaker panel, and so what I'm going to do is delete this shape here, and I'm going to move this shape to the layer called shaker panel. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this little square here that I used for measuring. And now I have a couple other toolpaths that are actually going to be unnecessary. One is this shaker step detail, because it's doing the actual step and shaker step itself. So I'm going to delete this toolpath. I'm going to delete this toolpath called shaker step detail. And there's one here called inner step, and I don't believe we're going to need it either. No, probably not. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So we have the pocket, we have a sharpen for the pocket, and we have a final cut. Now, when we do the sharpen, we see that when we look at that, it's also 3/8 of an inch, so that's fine. That's using the 1/8 inch cutter, tool number 1. So we can actually just do a quick preview of all this and see what it's all going to look like. So first I will turn the simulation quality to high instead of extremely high. That way it'll play a little bit faster. And I'm going to preview panel pocket. Okay, and that looks good, but we've got these large radiuses here. So now we pocket sharpen, and that looks good too, but we do have a couple of little nibs that were left because we're going from such a large diameter bit to such a smaller diameter. So we want to do, well, what I'll do is duplicate pocket sharpen, and then I will use a different tool for that, and I will probably use the same tool that we use to do the final cut, which is tool number 3, a 3/8 end mill. Okay, so I'm going to double click on pocket sharpen 1 again, select this 3/8 end mill, make sure it's tool number 3. All the other settings should be the same, so I'll just click OK. And it'll be doing it in one pass, and inside tool path. All of this should stay the same, but I am going to call this pocket 3/8 sharpen, and hit calculate. And okay, so let's now I noticed that that's actually going on the wrong side of the shape, so I'm going to double click that. I'm going to go to the selector. Yes, we want to do shaker panel, that's fine. So that's an automatic selection. But got a little issue here because it seems to be offset somehow. It's not actually, or maybe I need to regenerate those other toolpaths. I'm not sure. Let's see what's happening here. If I hit calculate, reset the preview, and preview all toolpaths, yeah, it's doing something strange. Let me see if I can figure out what it's doing. 38 sharpen. I know it doesn't need to be on the outside, but I'm going to make an adjustment just to see if anything changes. So now I'll put it back on the inside and calculate. There we go. So this time it did correct. I don't really know what just happened exactly, but also want to choose panel pocket and make sure that it is going in the right spot. So what do we have here? Yeah, pocket 38 sharpen is just going in the wrong spot altogether. So let me try this. For now, I'm going to turn the selector off. I'm going to turn the selector off and I'm going to select this shape, shaker panel, and hit calculate. Yeah, it's still in the wrong spot. Okay. Actually, no, it looks like it's the other stuff that is too far inset. So okay, panel pocket's where it needs to be. That's good. Pocket sharpen, however, is not. This needs to be on shaker panel. That's better. Okay, yeah, that just needed to be regenerated. I didn't catch it. Okay, so pocket sharpened, pocket 38 sharpened, panel pocket, and final cut. Now we want to go back in to all of these toolpaths and make sure that vector selection says automatic. If it does, we're good. What that means is rather than us having to manually select shapes every time we generate toolpaths, it'll automatically select based on the parameters we set. In this case, the layer name. So if you go to the selector, it says, you know, this toolpath applies to the layer called cut. So, okay. And if we want to, we can recalculate all the toolpaths. It says we are going to a depth of 0.754, and that's fine. Okay. Now, let's just do one final preview. That looks good. Sharp corners, no little nibs, and we've got our toolpath template ready. So now what we do is I'm going to save this file as a single step. Well, let's call this plain shaker door V2. And we are going to go here now and save out the toolpath template. Save all visible toolpaths as a template. So let's make them visible. Make sure they're in the order in which we want them to go. And say save all visible toolpaths as a template. We're going to call this plain shaker door v2.toolpath template and click save. So we now have our master file in place. We have our toolpath template in place. We can do one final check and make sure the depths and speeds are all correct. And it looks like they are. And so what we can do now is close this file, create a new file, click OK. So now we have a blank canvas. Alright, so now what we have to do is make some modifications to our door script. Okay, so at least I believe we're going to have to. So we're going to change the door style that we're using to shaker, I believe, plain shaker. So we go here to Cabinet Parts Pro, close the part nester, and call that plain shaker. Now the shaker offset, the rail style offset, should be 2.25 for the plain shaker. In fact, I believe that in my sample door it was the wrong size, but as long as the layer name is correct, we should be okay. The inner panel depth 0.375, although that parameter will probably be ignored. Second step won't apply here, so just leave that like it is. And then we exit out of that. Now, so we're going to need to make sure that that it's spitting out the doors, you know, the way we want. So we're going to calculate cabinet parts and nest now. Okay, so now we have our 5 sheets of doors. I'm going to open one of these doors real quick by right-clicking and saying Open DXF. And just going to look in there real quick and see what size that is. So start point 2.25. So that much is correct. The layer name is shaker panel. That's also correct. Length and X and Y is fine. We don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's all we really need for a single step shaker door, is just that one rectangle with the appropriate layer name. So now this time, instead of using the toolpath output from Cabinet Parts Pro, which is fine if that's the way we're working, but we're actually going to be using Vcarve to generate the toolpaths for this. So that means that what we have here is already ready to go, and all we have to do is go to Tools, Copy to Vectric, and it says ready to paste into Vectric. Okay, that's good. Now we switch over to Vcarve Pro or Aspire, and we say Edit, Paste into a brand new, clean project. Alright, now it says Apply Template to all sheets. Okay, so first of all, I want to create a folder for this to go into. So I'm going to go into my folder and create a folder. 2019 March 5th shaker test. Okay, so I've made that folder, and now it's just an empty folder. Switch back to Vcarve. We choose the output folder right here. We make sure we have the appropriate machine name or the post processor selected, and we're going to go ahead and do Save Toolpaths after calculating, and click OK. Okay, it says the loaded template included toolpaths which were associated with the following missing layers. Okay, now this happened because I actually forgot to choose the correct toolpath template. So I'm just going to click OK for each sheet, and I'm going to drop back and punt, so to speak. I'm going to close this. I'm going to create a new job, click OK, and I'm going to paste again. Okay, everything else is fine just like it was just a minute ago, but I have to choose a different toolpath template now because I'm doing a different door style. So select template, and I choose Plain Shaker Door V2, which is the template that we just created, and click Open. Now when I click OK, it rolled through all 5 sheets in the nest, or all 5 nested sheets, I should say. And now we take a look and see how everything came out. And if it's all good, then we can actually start cutting. Everything looks fine. Don't see any issues. So, but I am going to do sheet 1, all 4 things, just do a quick preview of the whole sheet. Whoops, actually, okay. Let me cancel that and reset the preview. I actually accidentally did all the toolpaths. I want to do preview of the visible toolpaths, the ones that are checked. Okay. That way it'll just do the 1 sheet worth. So that's really nice. So there's all our cabinet doors for sheet 1. So I think we're good to go. Let's look in that folder real quick. Sorry. This folder, and there we are, sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So just remember, when the files get named and output, they're always called sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And so if you output to the same folder that you did once before, well, you're going to overwrite old stuff. Now, that could be a real problem. So you got to make sure each time you do a job that it has a distinct job name and it goes into a distinct folder, so that you're not overwriting other jobs that you need. And when you finish a job, it might be a good idea to delete those G-code files, delete those tap files, unless it's something you anticipate running more often, because it'll just keep things from being so confusing. But again, that's up to each person how they want to do their file management. So yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to ask away, and I hope this is helpful.